It's an extraordinary bungle, and it's only day 3 of the vaccine rollout. Was this an accident, or was it just pure stupidity?
Well, clearly unacceptable, Peter. I think it's hard to describe how I felt when I heard about it yesterday, and I know Minister Hunt was feeling exactly the same way. We expected these medical professionals to undertake the training with the material that they had already been given. That's what this doctor, as we later in the day yesterday were advised, didn't do. That's clearly not acceptable. This event should not have happened. And of course, the Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Michael Kidd, Professor Michael Kidd, is now conducting a thorough investigation of events and a review to ensure that every person who's administering the vaccine across the country has in fact appropriately completed the training and to make sure that we don't have this sort of mistake. We cannot afford, and we don't want, the confidence in the rollout of the vaccine to be undermined. Pleasingly, we've had fantastic acceptance and consents from aged care residents around the country. They're all sitting there waiting, lining up, looking forward to receiving their vaccine. That's fantastic. We want that to continue. So we'll continue to provide all information that we can to the Australian community so that they can maintain confidence in the vaccine rollout. It's very, very important that we are open and frank with them in respect of this, and we will be.
Greg Hunt has apologised. Will you do the same?
Absolutely. Look, my heart goes out to the families. I know that they would be worried. I would be worried if it was my mum or dad. So my apologies directly to the families. The fantastic thing, and my first question when I heard that this had happened, is how are the residents? They're in good nick, which is fantastic. They've been closely monitored. And we do know from the fact that we've, through the TGA, had a full approval process for these vaccines, that the vaccines were tested at various dose levels, including at the level that these residents received with no ill effect. So that's important information for us to have and to understand. But simply, Peter, this should not have happened, and we'll be doing everything that we can to ensure that it isn't repeated, including a national audit to ensure that all those that are participating in the vaccine rollout have completed the appropriate training, and of course ensuring the systems that support that are doing that appropriately so that we can keep an eye on these things.
Minister, how many doses are in a vial?
Well, the Pfizer vaccine has 6 doses, and I understand that the AstraZeneca one is about 10. And look, this is one of the things that perplexes me about this whole circumstance. We've been talking about the fact that the vials are multi-dose for a period of time. It was pretty common knowledge to most people.
So how do you know that? And then the doctor who's actually administering the jab doesn't know that. I mean, that would show that the training is just purely ineffective.
Well, the problem was that the doctor hadn't undertaken the training, Peter. But this is a medical professional. This doctor's had years and years of training to attain their status as being a doctor.
Well, he's not much of a professional.
And so this is one of the reasons that the doctor has been referred to the appropriate authorities from a number of sources, and I think that is appropriate as well. But it's a salient reminder to us all to be vigilant in the process of rolling out this vaccine. This is a very, very important process for our country.
Should vaccines be mandatory for aged care workers, Minister?
Well, that's not the advice that we have from the AHPPC at this point in time, Peter. It's a question that was discussed at the AHPPC, but because we don't yet understand fully what the vaccine does in the context of transmission of the virus, whether or not it prevents transmission, the decision was made not to make it mandatory. And as Minister Hunt has said, if we're making things mandatory without the proper evidence, that will undermine confidence. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we maintain a high level of confidence for uptake. If the evidence were to change, the HPPC can revisit that advice, but at the time they made the decision that they did, because we didn't understand fully, and we still don't, what the vaccine does in the context of transmission of the virus. What we do know is that it protects you if you take the virus against serious illness. But until we know more, the appropriate decisions have been made.